First Contact's price. The Meridian Alliance's survey vessel emerged from hyperspace at the edge of an unremarkable solar system. Its captain, Commander Voss, stood with his 4 arms clasped behind his back, crystalline eyes fixed on the main view screen. What should have been a routine survey of a pre-spaceflight civilization was about to change the course of galactic history. Analysis complete, High Commander, the sensor officer reported, their bioluminescent patches pulsing with concern. The third planet shows signs of unprecedented development. Voss's facial ridges contracted. According to their records, this species, humans, should have barely achieved atmospheric flight. Instead, the sensor data showed a civilization with fusion power, quantum computing, and orbital habitats. Most alarming were the energy signatures suggesting shield technology and weaponry far beyond their expected technological level. Impossible, Voss muttered. The last survey was only 300 cycles ago. No species develops this rapidly. The human orbital installations were already tracking them, primitive compared to Alliance standards, but the targeting systems showed a sophistication that shouldn't exist. Voss felt the weight of protocol pressing down on him. The Alliance had strict procedures for handling potentially aggressive species, especially ones that developed faster than predicted. Sir, his second-in-command stepped forward. According to the containment protocols, any civilization showing accelerated military development must be contained. Voss knew what that meant. The Alliance had survived for 10,000 cycles by ensuring no emerging species could threaten galactic stability. They called it mercy, better to stop a potential threat early than risk a full-scale war later. He gave the order that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Notify High Command. Request immediate intervention under Protocol 7. Within hours, the Alliance's rapid response fleet arrived. 50 warships, each capable of reducing a continent to ash. They expected a swift demonstration of power would force the humans to surrender and accept Alliance oversight. They were wrong. The first shots weren't fired by the Alliance. As their ships moved to surround Earth, an automated defense platform issued a clear warning in perfect Alliance standard. You have entered restricted space. Maintain your current position and prepare for diplomatic contact. The Alliance commanders were shocked. Not only had the humans decoded their language, but they had also developed AI sophisticated enough to handle first contact protocols. It was supposed to be impossible. Admiral Kenna of the Earth Defense Force watched from her command center deep within the lunar installation as the alien fleet took up attack positions. Her weathered face remained calm, but her dark eyes blazed with intensity. "They're not here for diplomacy," she stated, watching the tactical display. "Pattern matches aggressive containment formation, just like we simulated." For 30 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. The Horizon program had detected the Alliance survey ships long ago, and Earth's unified governments had worked in secret to prepare. They knew first contact was coming. They just hadn't expected it so soon. "All defense grid stations, this is command." Kenna's voice was steady. "Execute Protocol Omega. Authorization, Kenna 7 Delta 9. Across Earth's orbital space, seemingly innocent satellites and debris transformed. Quantum shields shimmered to life. Weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments. The remnants of old space stations revealed themselves to be sophisticated weapon platforms. The Alliance fleet opened fire first, expecting to demonstrate their overwhelming power. Their energy weapons struck Earth's orbital defense grid and splashed harmlessly against shields based on principles their scientists hadn't even theorized yet. Earth's response was precisely calculated. No planetary bombardment, no indiscriminate fire. The defense grid targeted propulsion and weapon systems with surgical precision. In the first 30 seconds, 12 Alliance ships found themselves dead in space, their engines reduced to molecular dust by weapons that shouldn't have existed. Impossible. Voss watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically dismantled by a species that should have been helpless before them. Their technology. It violates known physics. On Earth's moon, Admiral Kenna allowed herself a grim smile, launched the Artemis Squadron. From hidden lunar bases, Earth's first line of FTL-capable warships emerged. They were smaller than the Alliance vessels, but moved with impossible grace, their quantum drives allowing them to dance through space in ways that made Alliance targeting computers malfunction. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the EDF Artemis I to Alliance fleet. A calm voice transmitted on all frequencies. Your aggressive action against Earth has been met with appropriate defensive measures. You have two options: immediate withdrawal or complete disable of your vessels. You have 30 seconds to decide. The Alliance commanders had never faced such a situation. Their civilization had stood unopposed for 10,000 cycles. They had contained dozens of emerging species, but they had never encountered anything like humanity. Status report, Kenna demanded, watching the battle unfold. Alliance fleet is in disarray, Admiral. 40% of their vessels disabled, no casualties on either side. Our shield grid is holding at 97%. Artemis Squadron reports all systems nominal. Kenna nodded. Send the second warning. Let's see if they're ready to talk. The battle for Earth lasted exactly 7 minutes and 23 seconds. When it ended, 30 Alliance warships floated powerless in space, their weapons and engines disabled but life support intact. The remaining 20 had retreated in disarray, their commanders trying to comprehend how a primitive species had so thoroughly outmaneuvered them. In the aftermath, Admiral Kenna stood before the United Earth Council, delivering her report. The Alliance underestimated us in every way possible. They expected a primitive civilization barely able to defend itself. Instead, they found a unified humanity that had spent decades preparing for exactly this scenario. Council leader Santos leaned forward. And now, Kenna's expression was determined. We have a choice to make. The Alliance will return, likely with a larger fleet. But we've shown them something they've never seen before. A species that developed differently, that took paths their science never considered. We can fight them and win. But I believe we have an opportunity to do something more important, which is to show them a better way. Our first shots weren't to kill, but to disable. Our technology isn't just more advanced in some areas. It's fundamentally different. We can either become what they feared, or we can show them why their fear was misplaced. As the Council debated humanity's next steps, the disabled Alliance ships received their first human visitors. Medical teams, bearing advanced treatment technologies. Engineering crews, helping restore basic systems, each demonstrating that humanity's power wasn't just in its weapons, but in its capacity for mercy even in victory. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapons weren't its shields or quantum drives. They were its creativity, its ability to think beyond established limits, and most importantly, its capacity to show compassion even to those who had shown none. The game had changed, but this was only the beginning. The human factor. The Alliance High Council chamber was in chaos. Holographic displays showed the humiliating defeat of their containment fleet, while dozens of counselors from various species argued over the implications. Grand Arbiter Xolos, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation, raised all 6 appendages for silence. The data is clear, his resonant voice cut through the noise. This human civilization has developed capabilities that defy our understanding of physics. Their defensive grid utilized principles our scientists claim are impossible. Their ships moved in ways that violated our known laws of motion. A Mersian counselor, her scaled skin shifting colors with anxiety, spoke up. The most disturbing element isn't their technology, it's their tactics. They disabled our ships without destroying them. They knew our weaknesses, predicted our strategies. They were prepared for us. In Earth's Lunar Command Center, Admiral Kenna and Captain Sarah Chen reviewed intelligence gathered from the captured Alliance vessels. The quantum AI processing systems of the HMS Vigilant, Chen's flagship, had already decoded the Alliance's complete technical database. Their technology is incredibly advanced in some areas, Chen noted, her dark eyes scanning the holographic displays. But it's also rigid. They haven't had to innovate in centuries. Their weapons, their shields, their FTL drives, all based on the same principles they discovered thousands of years ago. Kenna nodded. They grew comfortable, stopped looking for alternatives. Meanwhile, Earth's isolation forced us to find different solutions. She gestured to another display showing the Vigilant's quantum architecture. They never considered that consciousness could be used to stabilize quantum states, or that dark energy could be harnessed for propulsion. The Vigilant itself was a testament to humanity's different approach to technology. While Alliance ships relied on brute force and traditional physics, the Vigilant systems were built on the integration of human consciousness with quantum computing. Its eye wasn't just a machine. It was a synthesis of human intuition and quantum processing. Admiral. Chen's voice was serious. The Vigilance analysis suggests the Alliance will return with a larger force. But there's something else. She brought up a new set of data. We're detecting signs of internal conflict within their territory. Not all member species support their containment policies. Before Kenna could respond, the quantum sensors flared to life. The Alliance hadn't waited to regroup. A new fleet had arrived, 3 times larger than the first. But this time, something was different. They've modified their shields, Chen observed, watching the tactical display. Trying to adapt to our quantum weapons. They learn fast. Kenna's expression remained calm, but not fast enough. Deploy the Artemis Squadron. Execute Pattern Sigma. The space around Earth lit up as the battle began anew. This time, the Alliance came prepared for Earth's defensive grid. Their ships launched new weapons designed to disrupt quantum fields, clearly rushed into production after analyzing the first battle. But humanity had anticipated this. The Artemis Squadron, led by the Vigilant, demonstrated why Earth's greatest advantage wasn't just its technology. It was its ability to adapt and innovate in real time. Vigilant actual to all ships. Chen's voice was steady as she initiated their counter-strategy. Begin consciousness sync. Execute quantum maze protocol. The human ships moved in perfect synchronization, their quantum drives guided by the merged consciousness of their crews and AI systems. To the Alliance's sensors, it appeared as if reality itself was fragmenting. Multiple quantum states existed simultaneously, making it impossible to target the human vessels effectively. In the Alliance flagship, Supreme Commander Vex watched in growing horror as his fleet's advanced targeting systems failed completely. How are they doing this? Our sensors show them in multiple locations simultaneously. Sir, his science officer's voice shook. They're not just using technology. Our readings suggest they're somehow merging organic consciousness with quantum states. It's beyond our understanding. The battle that followed wasn't just a demonstration of superior firepower. It was a display of humanity's unique approach to warfare. The Vigilant and its squadron didn't just fight. They danced through quantum probability states, appearing wherever they were least expected. Alliance ships found their carefully coordinated formations broken apart by enemies they couldn't properly target. Weapons failed to lock on targets that existed in multiple states simultaneously. And through it all, the humans maintained their policy of disabling rather than destroying their opponents. Pattern Sigma complete, Chen reported, as the last Alliance ship was effectively neutralized. All enemy vessels disabled, no casualties on either side. Kenna studied the tactical display, watching as human medical ships moved to assist the disabled Alliance vessels. Send the message we prepared. It's time they understood exactly what they're dealing with. Throughout the Alliance fleet, screams came to life with Admiral Kenna's transmission. To the Alliance High Council, your continued aggression demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of humanity's position. We could have destroyed your ships. Instead, we chose to show restraint. Your technological developments serve you well for millennia, but you stopped looking for new possibilities. Humanity had to find different paths, and in doing so, we discovered there's more to reality than your science has dreamed of. She paused, letting her words sink in. We offer you a choice. Continue this futile aggression, or open diplomatic channels to learn from each other. Earth doesn't seek war, but we will not submit to containment. The universe is larger than your understanding of it. The question is, are you ready to expand your horizons? As the message played throughout Alliance space, captured crew members were already experiencing the truth of her words. Human medical technology, based on quantum healing principles, repaired injuries the Alliance considered untreatable. Earth's engineers demonstrated power systems that drew energy from dimensions the Alliance hadn't known existed. In the Vigilance Command Center, Chen watched as the disabled Alliance ships received aid. They're broadcasting to their home systems, she noted, sharing what they're seeing. Kenna smiled. Good. Let them see that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or shields. It's our ability to imagine possibilities beyond the accepted limits of reality. The second battle for Earth had lasted less than an hour, but its implications would echo through the galaxy for centuries to come. The Alliance had finally encountered a species that hadn't just matched their technology, but had transcended it by finding entirely new paths to advancement. The human factor had changed everything, and the galaxy would never be the same. Echoes of mercy. The Meridian Alliance's medical station on Proxima VI had never seen anything like it. Wounded soldiers from the failed Earth offensive watched in amazement as human quantum healers restored limbs their own doctors had declared permanently lost. Alliance medical staff stood speechless as nanite swarms, guided by quantum consciousness, repaired cellular damage at the molecular level. Dr. Maya Patil of the Earth Medical Corps moved between beds, her quantum interface implant glowing softly as she directed the healing processes. She paused at the bed of a young Mersian officer, his scaled skin dull with injury. Your internal bleeding is almost fully healed, she said, checking the quantum readings. The pain should be gone now. The Mersian stared at her with compound eyes. Why help us? We came to subjugate your world. Maya's response was interrupted by an alert from the station's security system. A group of Alliance military police was approaching, led by a high-ranking security director. They burst into the medical bay, weapons ready. These prisoners are being transferred to Alliance custody, the director announced. Their injuries make them valuable intelligence sources about human medical technology. Captain Sarah Chen stepped from behind a medical partition, her quantum interface casting a subtle blue glow. These aren't prisoners, Director. They're patients, and they're under Earth's protection. The director raised his weapon. Alliance law gives me authority. His voice cut off as he found himself unable to move. The Vigilance quantum field had extended through Chen's consciousness, creating a localized time dilation field around the security team. Let me be clear. Chen's voice was calm but carried absolute authority. Earth signed medical treaties with 17 Alliance worlds while you were preparing this raid. These patients are now under international protection. Leave. After the security team's departure, Maya returned to her patient. You asked why we help you. Here's the truth. Humanity's advancement wasn't just technological. We learned that real power comes from raising others up, not pushing them down. Across Alliance space, similar scenes played out. Human aid ships arrived at struggling colony worlds, bringing quantum technology that solved centuries-old problems within days. Earth's engineers helped repair crumbling infrastructure with materials that defied Alliance physics. Each act of aid carried the same message. Humanity's power wasn't for conquest. On the Alliance capital world, the High Council faced growing unrest. Reports flooded in from member species demanding changes to the containment protocols. The humans' display of mercy had sparked something dangerous. Hope. Admiral Kenna stood before the United Earth Council, reviewing the intelligence gathered by the Vigilance quantum networks. The Alliance isn't the monolith we thought. Many member species joined under threat of containment themselves. They maintain a facade of unity, but underneath, there's a powder keg waiting for a spark, Council Leader Santos finished. The question is, do we light it? The debate that followed tested humanity's principles. They had the power to shatter the alliance, to take advantage of its internal divisions. But that would mean abandoning the very ideals that had guided Earth's development. In her quarters aboard the Vigilant, Chen reviewed tactical simulations with her ship's quantum AI. Show me casualty projections for a full military intervention versus a humanitarian campaign. The AI's response materialized in her consciousness through the quantum interface. Military victory would be swift but would cost millions of lives. A humanitarian approach would take longer but could transform the alliance from within. The hardest victory, Chen murmured, is the one that changes hearts. The decision came on what historians would later call the Mercy Dawn. Earth launched its largest operation yet, not with warships, but with hospital ships, engineering vessels, and cultural exchange missions. The Vigilant and its sister ships served as escorts, their quantum shields protecting aid workers as they reached out to the most oppressed worlds in Alliance space. On Draconix Prime, human doctors cured a plague that had ravaged the population for generations. The Alliance had always claimed the cure was impossible. It took human quantum healers 2 days to synthesize it. In the Mersian Archipelago, Earth engineers used quantum tunneling to restore dying stars, saving billions from imminent ecological collapse. The Alliance had offered only evacuation. Humanity offered salvation. Most significantly, on the Alliance capital world itself, Earth established its first embassy of innovation, a place where any species could come to learn, to share, to grow beyond the artificial limitations the Alliance had imposed. The Alliance Security Council watched in growing alarm as their control slipped. Every act of human mercy, every solved impossible problem, every demonstration of power used to heal rather than harm, sparked more questions among their member species. "They're destroying us," one council member raged, "not with weapons, but with kindness." High Commander Voss, who had survived the first contact disaster, looked out at the busy streets of the capital, where humans and Alliance species now mingled freely. "No," he replied softly, "they're showing us what we could have been all along." In Earth's Lunar Command Center, Admiral Kenner received reports of another Alliance battle group approaching human space. But this time, they came with a different purpose. The ships broadcast on all frequencies, "We seek asylum. We choose Earth's way." The revolution had begun, not with fire and death, but with healing and hope. Humanity had proven that the most powerful weapon in the universe wasn't a quantum cannon or a consciousness-linked battleship. It was mercy. Revolution's dawn. The quantum shields of the HMS Vigilant rippled as another explosion lit up the space around Centauride Prime. Alliance loyalist ships fired desperately at the human vessel, which moved through their formation like a ghost, intercepting shots meant for the civilian transports behind it. Captain Chen watched through her quantum interface as thousands of refugee ships streamed toward the safety of human space. The Alliance was fracturing, and its oppressed peoples were voting with their feet. "Vigilant actual to all ships," Chen's voice carried across the quantum network. "Maintain defensive screen. Priority is civilian protection." The revolution hadn't started with weapons. It began with knowledge. When human quantum healers cured the Draconix plague, they didn't just save lives. They proved the Alliance had lied about what was possible. When Earth's engineers restored dying stars in Mersian space, they demonstrated that the Alliance's technological limitations were self-imposed. Admiral Kenna stood on the bridge of Earth's newest vessel, the HMS Prometheus. Unlike the warships of either humanity or the Alliance, the Prometheus was built for a single purpose: to share knowledge. Its quantum cores powered the largest educational network ever created, broadcasting technical, medical, and scientific knowledge to any world that would listen. Their control relied on ignorance. Kenna explained to the United Earth Council through Quantum Link. "We're not defeating the Alliance. We're teaching their people to defeat it themselves." The Alliance Security Council watched in horror as their member worlds declared independence one by one. Centuries of careful control crumbled in the face of humanity's open-source approach to knowledge. On Proxima VII, Dr. Maya Patel supervised the graduation of the first class of quantum healers from former Alliance worlds. The medical students, representing 12 different species, had mastered techniques their governments had claimed were impossible for their kinds. The Alliance told us we lacked the cognitive structure for quantum interface, immersion students said during the ceremony. Earth showed us we simply needed to approach it differently. Each species requires its own path to advancement. The Vigilance Quantum AI tracked the spread of human influence through Alliance space. It wasn't military conquest. It was a renaissance. Worlds that had been kept intentionally dependent on Alliance technology began developing their own quantum industries. Species that had been told they were biologically incapable of certain advances proved those limitations false. The Alliance's last desperate gambit came at Epsilon Eridani. They launched their entire remaining Loyalist fleet, 300 capital ships, against the human aid mission there. They expected Earth's forces to retreat, to protect their own borders. They were wrong again. The HMS Vigilant led a fleet of just 30 ships to meet them. But these weren't warships. They were hospital ships, aid vessels, and educational cruisers. Each was protected by quantum shields and armed with humanity's most powerful weapon, the truth. This is Captain Sarah Chen to Alliance Fleet. Her transmission reached every ship, every crew member. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your shields cannot stop us. But we're not here to fight. Look around you. Look at the worlds you're trying to keep enslaved. Look at what they've achieved in just months of freedom. The quantum network projected images throughout Alliance space. Former slave worlds now operating their own quantum industries, oppressed species developing technologies that surpassed their former masters, children of all species learning together in quantum-linked schools. Your choice is simple, Chen continued. Fire on us and demonstrate to the galaxy that the Alliance's only response to progress is violence. Or join us and help build something greater than the Alliance ever imagined. The Battle of Epsilon Eridani lasted exactly 2 minutes, not because of quantum weapons or consciousness-linked ships, but because the Alliance crews simply stopped fighting. Ship by ship, they lowered their shields. The revolution wasn't won with a final battle. It was won with a choice. In the aftermath, Earth established the Galactic Educational Network. The Prometheus became its flagship, traveling from world to world, sharing knowledge that the Alliance had hoarded for millennia. The HMS Vigilant and its sister ships transformed into exploration vessels, their quantum drives now pushing the boundaries of known space. Admiral Kenna stood in the ruins of the Alliance Security Council chamber, addressing representatives from 100 formerly oppressed worlds. Earth doesn't seek to rule, she declared. We seek to elevate. Every species has unique gifts to offer. Every world has knowledge to share. The galaxy is vast, and there are countless paths to advancement. We invite you to walk those paths with us, not as subjects, but as equals. The revolution changed more than just political structures. It changed how species saw themselves and each other. The Alliance had maintained power by convincing its members of their limitations. Humanity proved that the only real limits were the ones they accepted. As the last Alliance loyalist world surrendered, they found not punishment, but opportunity. Earth's policy remained consistent. Everyone was welcome to learn, to grow, to exceed their supposed limitations. The galaxy was transforming, not through force of arms, but through force of example. Humanity had shown that true power wasn't about controlling knowledge, it was about sharing it. The revolution wasn't won with quantum weapons, it was won with quantum textbooks. A new dawn. The Galactic Assembly's inaugural session began not with speeches, but with silence. Representatives from 300 worlds, former Alliance members, independent systems, and human colonies gathered in the quantum-linked chamber on neutral ground. The crystalline spires of New Geneva Station sparkled against the backdrop of Earth, visible through the transparent quantum barriers. Admiral Kenna and Captain Chen stood as observers, their quantum interfaces inactive for the first time in months. This moment belonged to the galaxy, not to Earth. The first to speak was High Commander Voss, once Earth's enemy, now one of its strongest advocates. The Alliance ruled through fear and artificial limitations. Earth showed us a different path, not domination, but elevation. Not control, but collaboration. The HMS Vigilant patrolled quietly at the edge of the system, its quantum sensors detecting the arrival of ships from across the galaxy. Each vessel carried scientists, educators, and leaders eager to participate in what historians would later call the Great Exchange. Dr. Maya Patel presented the first proposal to the Assembly. The Universal Knowledge Initiative. Every species has unique insights, she explained. The Mersians understand stellar dynamics in ways humans never imagined. The Draconics grasp biological principles we're only beginning to comprehend. Together, we can achieve what none of us could alone. The Assembly Chamber's quantum network hummed with activity as representatives shared their species' contributions. The Mersians offered their understanding of stellar engineering. The Draconics brought their biological expertise. Even former Alliance worlds shared technologies they'd hidden from their masters for centuries. Captain Chen watched from the Vigilance Bridge as the new galactic civilization took shape. "They don't need our guidance anymore," she observed. "They've surpassed our expectations." Across former Alliance space, change manifested in dramatic ways. The rigid hierarchies of the past gave way to collaborative networks. Quantum technology, once restricted to human ships, adapted to the unique physiologies of each species. The Galactic Educational Network, born from the HMS Prometheus, evolved into a living library of knowledge from 1,000 worlds. But Earth's greatest contribution wasn't technological. It was philosophical. Humanity had demonstrated that advancement didn't require conquest, that strength could be used to lift others up rather than hold them down. The Assembly's first act was to establish the principles of mutual elevation, a framework ensuring that no species would ever again be artificially limited. The second was to create the Exploration Initiative, led jointly by the HMS Vigilant and ships from 20 other worlds. Admiral Kenna addressed the United Earth Council one final time before retiring. "We came to the stars prepared for war, but found our greatest victory in peace. Humanity's legacy isn't our quantum drives or consciousness interfaces. It's the proof that the strongest civilization isn't the one that dominates others. It's the one that helps others rise." The former Alliance Security Council chamber was transformed into the galaxy's largest quantum research center. Species that had once been enemies now worked side by side, each bringing unique perspectives to challenges that had seemed insurmountable. 5 years after first contact, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The rigid hierarchies of the Alliance era had given way to a network of collaborating civilizations. Earth's quantum technology had evolved in ways its creators hadn't imagined as other species added their insights. The HMS Vigilant, now part of a multi-species exploration fleet, prepared for its mission beyond known space. Captain Chen stood on her bridge, surrounded by a crew that included former Alliance officers and representatives from a dozen worlds. "The real revolution," she told her crew, "wasn't winning the war. It was proving we didn't need to fight it. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't defeating the Alliance. It was showing the galaxy a better way to advance." As the exploration fleet departed, the quantum network carried their discoveries back to every world in real time. Each discovery was shared, each advancement built upon by hundreds of species working in concert. The legacy of Earth wasn't measured in territory controlled or battles won. It was measured in knowledge shared, in limitations overcome, in civilizations uplifted. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, ready for war, but had won something far greater: the opportunity to help forge a civilization greater than any single species could create alone. The stars beckoned, not as conquest to be won, but as mysteries to be solved together. And in the quantum-linked chambers of New Geneva Station, representatives of 1,000 worlds worked together to chart humanity's greatest discovery: the path to mutual elevation.